So when I meet an entrepreneur and they failed, the thing that I'm trying to figure out is like, how did they fail? Is it, again, and this is going back to what we talked about earlier, did you just not listen and keep battering your head because you heard something or read something and you just, didn't refuse to pivot? That kind of stubbornness can be good, but it can also be extremely destructive. Did you fail because you got the market wrong, but you built a great product? That's actually not such a bad thing. That happens, right? Happens to the best of us. I mean, I failed more times than, and then the last thing is, are you comfortable with that failure? So the people that can own it, in my opinion, that's a very special class of person. And part of it is just being around enough people. That's why Silicon Valley is so great, because it celebrates failure as much as it celebrates success. And I think that's awesome. Like, I grew up in Canada. I love Canada, but what's frustrating about being Canadian is we don't celebrate failure. Right. And so it's all about mean reversion. It's all about managing the middle. And so if you're an outlier, you feel extremely isolated and you feel stupid when things don't go right, as opposed to trying to learn from it, rinse and repeat, try again. Right. So I'm trying to figure out, how did they fail and what did they learn? In general, I think it's a good thing. In general, though, what I would say more importantly than anything else is, are you humble enough to realize that when things worked, it was you, but it was also a lot of luck? And then are you courageous enough to realize that when it failed, it may not have been as much you, but you've learned enough to now avoid the same mistakes? Those are the two things that you have to figure out. You have to be humble enough to realize, like, timing is everything. People are everything, right? The team, the conditions, your competitors, so many things came into making something work at that time. It's not so replicable. Similarly, failing, if you failed for the right reasons, that could be great DNA to go again and try it again.
The things that invalidated you when you're younger will be the things you seek validation from when you're older. And for me, not being able to have people at my house, not being able to celebrate birthdays and Christmases, they carved this insecurity into me that as I get to 16, 17, 18 years old, I just want to fill. And as you say, like a lot of successful people, if you could dig into their stories, you'll find this moment, this trauma, this event that happened in their early years. And of course, it's then the thing that often makes them successful. But the reason they become successful is because they're in some way unusual, right? They might be obsessive about money or power or control. And that often also comes with an unappreciated downside, which means they might find it really hard to form relationships, which I did. And they might be a little bit too selfish. They might be, they might chase after material things thinking it's happiness, get there, it moves away like a mirage, and they're left with a lack of fulfillment. To answer your question about what the things were in me that made me move differently, one of them was, by the age of 10 years old, my parents were never in the house. And when I say never, I mean like I would wake up, they weren't there. And when I went to bed, they weren't there. So at 10 years old, I have to fend for myself. And you think about the pressures going on in my life at that age. I'm a kid who is feeling like really inadequate and insecure because I have nothing and my parents aren't there. So I'm looking around thinking, how can I fill this void? So I'm thinking, I'm going to do a deal with the local vending machine company to stock our school with vending machines. And we're going to get 20% of the revenue, and I'm going to take a little bit of the cut. And I'm going to organize all of the events in my school. And this was my way of, like, I had independence and I had an insecurity. And when the two came together, I became this young kid who just had no choice but to take on the world on his own.
This is the problem with college, and is that they teach you the theoretical side of everything for the person that's working for you, but it doesn't teach you to be the CEO, the practical side, and the young entrepreneur, whether you're trying to go up the corporate ladder or you are doing it your own. And it's just the simple things of, and these are some of my great Tillmanisms from the book, and why HarperCollins came to me and asked me to write this book was, know your numbers, okay? You've got to know your numbers. There are no spare customers. We're all in a consumer business. People watching this podcast for you, or me serving casino customers, restaurant customers, hotel customers. There are no spare customers. We're all after the same consumer. To the 95-5 rule, that 95% of everything is right. So look for the 5% that's wrong.